Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 115 of a Nerd Named Mark podcast. It's me, it's Mark. Trying to make sure I'm wearing the muscle cut tank top, so make sure my nipples not popping out. For those of you watching on YouTube, been wardrobe malfunction here and there with my tank tops. Just too much of a beef bro, too much meaty goodness going on in there, and every once in a while the nipples like hello, but. Ooh, a lot going on. I was about to start recording, and then I realized it's basically almost June, which means July's right around the corner, and that's 3 years I've been doing the podcast. I started it in 2019. So I was like, holy shit. Already? Like, time flies when a majority of those 3 years you're stuck indoors and can't go anywhere. But, which is really cool because, like, honestly, I haven't even been, like, planning anything for it because I have all this other stuff going on. So I was like, oh, shit, I should probably start, So after I record this, I'm going to have to start, like, going through and trying to figure out what I'm going to do for a special episode. But, yeah. So that was, like, something that just, like, popped up on my radar. And I was like, oh, well, then, I should definitely really sit down and get some shit working. Not a lot, but a lot going on. I got a whole big stack of new comic books I bought, so I'm going to be going over those today. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can kind of see my little TV setup over here on the side. I am playing Deadcraft on the Switch. Love that game. I'll be talking about that for a bit when I go over video game stuff, because I've been playing it for a week now, and I got like over 20 hours put into it, on top of hitting Master Rank in Pokémon Unite, because your boy's good. And so, and I like a lot of other stuff, but the main thing I'll be talking about is spring anime, and the anime binge that I have been on has been that of Legends. Like, I have watched so much anime on top of, at time of recording this, it is Memorial Day weekend. I also binged, well, we did anyways. We sat down and we watched all the first 7 episodes of Stranger Things season 4. I'm going to be doing a separate review of that because that was interesting. I really enjoyed it, but there's some stuff that, like, kind of, not from an actual things happening in the show standpoint, but from a character standpoint, or lack thereof, that I just was completely shocked by, given it is the final season, how little some characters had any importance or screen time. And I'm trying to be vague as possible because at the time of recording this, I'm sure a lot of people are still watching it, and by the time this goes live, I'm gonna have this episode go live on Memorial Day. I don't want to spoil Stranger Things for anyone. I really don't. I avoided spoilers, and if there's one consistent thing I've said on this podcast, is like, unless I say otherwise and it's a special episode, I avoid spoilers for everything for everyone, because I don't want to be that person who spoils things. It's rude. So let's start off with comic books, because why not? I love comics. I'm gonna move the mic back this time so I don't hit it. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you're about to see all the comics. Obviously, those of you listening, I'm listing the comic books. You want to head over to YouTube, just type in Nerd Named Mark. You'll find the channel. You'll be able to see the covers and everything that I'm getting for these issues. So, let's start off with something that threw me off that I have been very much enjoying, and that is Rogue Sun. Issue 4 just dropped. At least for me, anyways. Like I said, I pick up my comics like every 2 weeks. This time, I actually haven't picked up comics since the first weekend of May, which was Free Comic Book Day, because I've been busy. But Rogue Sun, Ryan Parrott's been doing really good at this writing. Obviously, I'm a fan. He did, he's doing great with Power Rangers, but Rogue Sun, to have an original character and universe that you get to write in, where there's no pre-existing characters or source material or this and that, is really cool. And obviously, coinciding with that, I have issue 3 of 5 for Radiant Red. Now, I'm not reading Radiant Red because I'm waiting until all 5 issues are out, and then I'm going to bulk read it, which I do with most of my 5-issue, runs. Another from Boom, I really like, well, the first from Boom, House of Slaughter, issue 6, Scarlet Part 1, is like House of Slaughter, because I really, really, really really enjoy Something is Killing the Children. It's something I have hyped up and talked about since issue 1 dropped. And House of Slaughter, set in the same universe, really freaking good. I strongly recommend it. Image has really kind of been taking more risks with new IPs, and they've been working out for them. So yeah, really, really good run. I'm enjoying it. Now we're gonna go into some more Boom and some IDW crossovers. I have cover A and B of Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 3. I am going to be doing, because I did a review for the first issue, I am going to be doing a combo review of issues 2 and 3 combined, because I didn't have time to review issue 2, even though it was really good. Very intriguing. I still think having it be Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, like I called it in issue 1, where I was like, it's not going to be full-fledged Godzilla versus the Power Rangers. It might be like that for the first issue and a little bit of the second issue, but that's going to change. And it did. I called it because this is the trend whenever there's a Power Rangers crossover. It happened with Justice League. It happened with TMNT. Like, anytime there's a Power Ranger crossover, they're going to go at it in the first issue to set, and then it's going to be like, now it's a team up. But calling it Godzilla teams up with Power Rangers isn't going to sell. Godzilla versus Power Rangers sell. TMNT versus Power Rangers sell. Power Rangers versus Justice League. Those titles will sell more than Team Up, Continuing the Power Ranger trend, we have Power Rangers 19 with Andros on the cover. That's nice. That's a nice cover. They're on the road to the charge to issue 100, which is insane that they're getting up to issue 100 already. And then I have Mighty Morphin number 19, which now has, I think we're a couple issues into Matt Groom actually writing now, and not bad. I enjoy these covers, by the way. These covers are like delicious covers. But Matt's doing a great job with writing. I was always worried when other writers took over, because I forgot the name when we got the Beyond the Grid arc, when after Kyle left and before Ryan took over. It was just a weird arc. It honestly was. It wasn't doing it for me, but it was there. It was a thing. It wasn't bad. It just was so different of a style of writing. And like I'm adamant in saying I follow writers. If you're a good writer, I'm going to follow you. I'm going to check out your work. And sometimes it's hit or miss, but that's why, But Matt's doing really good. Like I have no qualms, no issues at all. Good writing, and that's really all that matters. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, I'm gonna say it's bad, but it's good. It's really good, especially as a Power Ranger fan. Now, next up, I believe this is the final issue. It is Power Rangers Universe 6 of 6. This time it's an all green Ranger related cover, and I like how they did add the green Dino Fury on there. I like this cover a lot. And I may, and now that this is done, actually, I'm going to actually read it, because I was like, it's 6 issues. It's not set in stone with everything that's going on right now. Regular Power Ranger run. So I was like, I'll read it when it's done, so that I'm going to finally get to sit down and check that out. I did read the first issue when it first came out, and then I was like, oh, this is good. And then I was like, okay, I'll wait till the other 5 come out. Now, because I said I follow writers, the last 4 issues or so that I'm about to talk about is the same writer. That's right, everyone. It's time for some Donnie Cates. First up, I got crossover number 13 with this nice little variant cover. I love this cover so much. It's like that Image, like OG. Like, I love this cover so much. Crossovers, honestly, like, still just the momentum is there. It has not gotten flat or stale at all. I mean, yeah, 13 issues in, but I've read comics that are new IPs where like 5 or 6 issues in, it just doesn't do it, or it gets boring, or you just start to see that the tropes are too heavy, and it's just like it starts to lose its originality and creativity. That's not the case with crossover. Donnie Cates is killing it still, and let me continue my fanboyish nature for this great comic book writer by going over for Hulk number 7. This is the Banner of War Part 3. Now I know what you're thinking, but where's the other parts? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I got you. I got you. Because I have Thor 25, the Banner of War Part 2. Now I know what you're thinking, like, Mark, like, what's going on? You're counting down. I know, get it. The last issue I'm gonna talk about is Hulk versus Thor, Banner of War Part 1. Now I haven't looked into all this stuff. It's not numbered. It just says Marvel and Alpha, where the number usually would be. So I don't know what that means. Like, I don't follow a lot of the new stuff, but it's like, it's cool because if you look, you got the double symbol. 60 years of Thor, 60 years of Hulk. So I was like, like, the artwork on this is really good. This, yeah, I don't know if because let's see, this came out like literally the Wednesday after Free Comic Book Day, because I know Thor 25 came out on the 18th, and then the Hulk came out after that. Like, the crossover is good, especially, and the timing of it is great because I have been reading Hulk and I have been reading Thor. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, like, you can pick up this Hulk vs. Thor Banner War Part 1, and you can pick that up right now and then go right into Thor and Hulk and get the story. You don't need to read everything before Thor. You don't need to read the first 6 issues of Hulk. You really don't. But I would say it helps because you get the journey and you get to know what, like, this iteration of Thor and this iteration of Hulk, because it's not, the same Hulk that was in comics, from a personality and character, and so it's not like the same one that was like there like 5 years ago. This is a different writer. It's Donnie Cates. Should pick it up. But I'm excited to read those, and this just shows also how little comics I'm still pulling. But it is refreshing that, Marvel's back on the table for me, because for all it was like Boom, Image, Dark Horse, IDW, Boom, like stuff like that. And it was like, I wasn't pulling Marvel, I wasn't pulling DC, and I explained it. And a lot of people were, there was some response, okay? And I was just like, listen, like, if something comes along that is written really good, draws me in, like, I think the downfall was Hickman leaving X-Men kind of just like, I don't know, like House of X, Powers of X was so good. Going into X-Men itself was really good. I wasn't really a fan of, what is it, New Mutants or those other little side ones they did. Like, I was just pulling main X-Men run, and then they started, and then there's like, oh, we're gonna get another of X crossover, and I'm like, too much. Just like, consolidate, give me, like, we can't keep having these big arc things for, like, get it, it's X-Men. But it was like, I was burnt out. And then Hickman leaving, I was like, his writing was so good. We had like some of the best Magneto monologues I've in a very long time, since like House of M, and even before that, and like Age of Apocalypse and stuff like that. And like, I've never been the biggest X-Men fan, and I'm adamant about it, saying, you want me to pull up like issue numbers and facts and stuff about X-Men? I can't do that. I'm not a big fan of X-Men. I watched the 90s cartoon. I pulled some issues. I always went for the arcs. House of M, Age of Apocalypse, Powers of X, House of X, stuff like that. I never was a consistent reader. And same thing with like Wolverine. I'm not a big Wolverine fan. I have very little Wolverine stuff in my massive comic book collection. I have key issues, but that's because I went through a phase where I was a key issue hunter, and I wanted them for the collection. Did I enjoy them? Probably not. Honestly, I'm just being honest with you. I never, like, so there's very few, and I'm not like that anymore. Now, I pull to read. I don't pull for collecting. I don't pull, new key issues anyway, because like, it's always weird. There's one comic book shop I went to out here. It's not my local comic shop that I always go to, and they would literally put on the outside of they would board and bag their comics, put them on the wall, or they would just bag them. They wouldn't board them. And if it was something that was going to be like a key issue, they'd put a post-it on the thing and say, this is a key issue. And it's like, okay. And then for a while there, I would get a few of them, and then I was looking and I was like, these aren't that good. Like, the last thing that was claimed a key issue that I bought, I think it was like a year or two ago, there's some Avengers or something comic coming out, and it was like Yellow Hulk, and it was like first ever appearance Yellow Hulk. It's key issue, and I'm like, all right, and they're like $10. I'm like, screw it, why not? It's $10. It's gonna be a key issue. I was like, maybe I'll go get it graded because it's a key issue, and I have a lot of key issues graded. I was a key issue whore for a while. I'm just gonna call it spade. I was like I was all about those key issues. I wanted them graded, nothing below and like an 8.5, because sometimes, you know, the old ones, the price difference between like an 8.5 and a 9.5 or a 10 is so drastic. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna save some money. I'll just get an 8.5. I don't care. So yeah, that was that, and I was like, eh. And also, like, I noticed with key issues and stuff like that, stuff like really drastically like goes down in value, especially from comic books. Like, I mean, obviously Amazing Fantasies 14, 15, like you're gonna get, you know, Death of Gwen Stacy, like certain key issues like OG Detective Comics, like First Joker, even a page of that great, like those, you're gonna have your staples that are always gonna be worth money. But from a modern comic book standpoint, it's like, if you get the signatures on them and they're graded, you know, CGC and stuff like that, you're going to get, you know, some money. But it's like, I feel like there's no real ones that you can look at and be like, 20 years from now, this is going to be like that $15,000, $20,000 book in your collection. I don't see that anymore. I mean, there's some newer issues. Like, I was really caught off guard when Something is Killing the Children, like the first like 5 or 6 issues now, graded or ungraded, got some value to them, and I was like, wow, like that's impressive, because I didn't think there was, because it's still a fresh comic, it's still new. Like, if you go back and look at like Walking Dead, it took a while for that issue 1 to have some value to it, and me as someone who has a complete run, first prints from issue 1 to whatever that number was when it ended, because I stopped reading after like 110, but I kept pulling them because I was like, well, I already got 110 of these. I already have I might as well keep going until this. And when Robert Kirkman announced that he was actually ending the comic run, I was like, well, then I'm going to keep pulling until it ends. I will have a complete collection, full set, and I'll probably sell it at some point. I'm gonna wait until the show is completely freaking done, and, you know, maybe 5-10 years from now, when like people aren't with that sour taste in their mouth because the show has been dragged out and there's so many spin-offs and there's beating a dead horse with this show, with this franchise now. So once, you know, that happens, and then I'll be like, all right, let's see the value of the whole set. Let me sell the whole set. It's an investment. And I don't usually have that mentality with a lot of my comics. Like, I'm not thinking to sell, but also at the same point, there are very few complete runs I have ever finished, at least something that has more than 100 issues. You know, like, there's not a lot of complete runs I wholeheartedly could say I have. I would love to have an Amazing Spider-Man complete run up from 1 to 700, but there's like, most of the issues I'm missing are like the big ticket ones, and I'm just like, oof. Especially a lot of the lower ones before like 123, and then like, it's just like, oh, those are gonna be rough to find, and for a price point that I can justify just to have a complete physical run of Amazing Spider-Man. But also at the same time, like, manga's been kind of like more my thing, you know, especially lately. If you've been listening to the podcast or watching, I've been pulling a lot of manga. You know, I've been reading the Spy X Family, and I finally finished reading all the Demon Slayer manga, and I started finishing more of the show. But I'll get into the anime side of things after. It's time to talk about some video games for a bit. Not a bit, not a long time, but like a little bit of a time at least. So obviously I already said I'm playing Deadcraft on the Switch. It just came out about a week and a half ago. They were doing that like first week sale of it coming out. So I bought the deluxe edition. It was like 30. My sinuses are bad. It was like $33, and it came with like 2 DLCs and some other stuff. So I was like, screw it. I like the idea of it. It's basically a item management, like, so you got to farm. You can farm stuff. There's crafting. You can build up your base and upgrade facilities. And you're a half zombie, half human, post-apocalyptic, and you're basically trying to get into the main city to take out the big bad who killed your best friend, so to speak, and you basically go into a town, and that's like the slums. There's a lot of side missions, a lot of crazy characters. The cool thing is, there's like skill trees and everything else, but the cool thing is, because you're half zombie, one of the things you can farm is other zombies. So when you kill non-zombie human NPCs, you can take their corpse, turn it into a zombie seed, and plant it, and then you grow a zombie that you can command. And then there's all these zombie type weapons, and it's really cool. I've been really enjoying it. Like I said, I put close to like, I think I'm at like 20 hours in the game. There's a lot to it. A lot of people, like, it's a slow start. That's the thing. Like, for the first like 5-6 hours, like getting adjusted, like learning what everything is. The game wasn't really fully opened up yet. And I didn't have fast travel, so I spent a lot of time going back and forth between the wasteland areas. But once you finally got more stuff and more like bigger storage, like once you got through like basically the tutorial area, so to speak, and you really opened up the story, got really good. Now I'm addicted to it, and it's really been cutting into my Pokemon Unite time, which is sad because sorry, gotta drink my coffee in my Nickelodeon coffee mug. So like, it's been cutting the Pokemon Unite, which I hit Masters. We knew that was gonna happen, and I've been playing that. I had like a really bad losing streak a couple nights ago, and then I was like, all right, let me take a day away, and then it ended up being 2 days because I was playing Deadcraft and working, and I was like, all right, because I was playing it so much. I was playing like 3-4 hours a day, just grinding the Masters, and I think I went from like Veteran 3 to Masters in a span of a day of just playing nonstop, and it was a lot because like Espeon came out, so obviously I'm playing as Espeon. I still got Sylveon in my back pocket just in case, and I got my Mamoswine that I main. But it was just like I just needed a break. Sometimes when a game is, especially when you're playing competitive. So playing competitive, it's, yeah, you want to put in the hours, you want to put in the reps, you want to like get better, this and that. But then when you start getting more frustrated and making rookie mistakes, that's when you got to be like, all right, let me take a step back, clear my mind, just out of sight, out of mind for a day or two, came back in fresh, started, winning some matches again. I was like, all right, this is what I needed. I needed that break. So even right now, playing some Deadcraft, but I will be jumping in Pokemon Unite later on in the afternoon because it's my day off. But that's really it, all I've been playing. Evil Dead, the game, I played it a little bit. Not enough to fully talk about it, but it looks good. I love Evil Dead so much. We know I am a huge horror fan. I got my Nekatuni Terror shelf over there. Every single one that's been released, even variants and chases and Loot Crate exclusives, because I hunt them down. I got them all. It's done. The set is done unless they release more, which I'll be okay with, but not really because I'm out of shelf space. But yeah, that's the main thing. I haven't played Evil Dead enough to really talk about it. Another game I'm playing is the Eiyuden Chronicles Rising, which is a prequel to, the prologue to Eiyuden Chronicles, the 100 Heroes, which is coming out next year. I thought that was coming out this year. That was my mistake. I recant that statement that I said the other last episode. Playing that a lot. Almost finished with it. I think I'm almost finished. I have no idea, honestly. The cool thing is, like, because I upgraded some more equipment, which I talked about in the last episode, and this and that, I started doing some capture of video game footage to voiceover for, because I'm going to be doing a video review for Deadcraft and a video review for Eiyuden Chronicles Rising. I really do want to get back into reviewing video games. I found out it's been like 5, almost 6 years since I've actually legitimately put effort forth into a review for a video game, not like when I'm talking about it on the podcast. And I was like, you know what, I kind of want to dabble. I'm not going to go full-fledged back into reviewing like I did when I had the websites. That chapter of me as a content creator is done. Obviously, if you don't know the full story and everything I'm talking about, I did do an episode with Chris, who has been on a guest on the show multiple times, and we did a whole thing talking about our history and the evolution of content creating and video game journalism from the standpoint of like I started doing it like 06, 07. Chris started around 2011, and he was my lead editor for the website I had. And so the evolution of that going into like how he went into streaming full time, and I stuck with podcasting and part-time streaming here and there and dabbling. And then how I decided, okay, podcast done, YouTube. So it's two different whole perspectives of video game journalists. And I even brought up the whole thing of like how I could never see myself writing a video game review, like written video game reviews. I can't do. I'm never going to do that again. But I figure I have the equipment. I'm playing the games. I have the YouTube channel. It's not, why not, when I feel like it, review some games that like I really feel like I want to review, like without the pressure of here's a review code, review it, launches this day, you're in an NDA, but it can be done by this. Don't have to worry about that anymore, which is great. And yeah, that's kind of it for gaming. I haven't really been playing much else. I mean, obviously with the amount of time, if you see the time that I put in those, that's a lot. We are like a week and a half away from The Quarry coming out. Holy shit, I can't wait for that game. Are you kidding me? I can't wait. I'm gonna play the shit out of that. That one I'm gonna review. That one I might even stream, like, because I've streamed most of the games from them. I've streamed Until Dawn. I've streamed Man of Medan. I don't think I streamed Little Hope. I might have, actually. And I know I didn't stream the last one, which I can't think of the name, which is horrible because I actually enjoyed it. And the game case is literally right over there, but I can't think of the name right now at the top of my head. But I love those games so much. So I may be streaming The Quarry. I may stream some of the other games before it actually comes out. Actually, I might. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I probably will. I want to get back into streaming more. But and then, a couple weeks after that, towards the end of June, we're getting the Digimon Survive game finally. That's a real thing. So it's like, oh, 2 more games that I can enjoy this month coming up. Yay. So, yeah, that's really it for video game stuff. Now, let's talk anime. Oh, the amount of anime I've been watching has been just ridiculous. Like, I blew through, as you know, Demon Slayer Season 1, watched the Mugen Train, blew through most of what's available for Season 2, and then, because I already talked about Demon Slayer a few times. My Hero, I need to catch up on that. I've been reading the manga volumes and this and that, and the show, that's kind of at the point where I'm like waiting for each season's done and then binging them, but I didn't realize, because I lose track of like actual time, like, when work and this and that. I didn't realize how far the show had gotten, so I am really far behind. So I was like, let me start binging that, and then instead I saw this little under popular little poster, little splash image for an anime, and it was like, that looks familiar. I feel like I read that manga, and then I realized I did, and I didn't realize that Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro got an anime, and so obviously I had to watch the whole entire first season, which was only like 12 episodes, but I just literally watched that in a span of 2 days between while working and sleeping. Just binged it. Like the first time I started watching it, I think I watched up till like episode 7 or 8, and it was like 2 in the morning, and I was like, oh, I got work the next day. Let me go to sleep. Then I went to work, came home, got some things, errands done, and this and that. And then I was like, all right, let me go and watch the rest of the season. And I enjoyed it so much. I really loved it. Like, I'm kind of a fan of that, like, slice of life rom-coms and stuff like that. I don't know why. Like, and then on the other hand, like, I'll go through and watch Jujutsu Kaisen, Tokyo Revengers, freaking Fist of the North Star, stuff like that. But then it's like, let me get that rom-com. And then for the jokes, last time Chris was on the podcast when we talked about the season premiere of Halo, the TV series, I read the manga. Didn't watch the anime yet. Binge watched My Dress Up Darling. Such a nice show, good show. I really enjoyed it. And like, I don't know why, like, I go through phases where that's the anime type I will watch. And then, it could be once I'm all done with that, like, okay, now I'm gonna go watch Seven Deadly Sins, or I'm gonna go attempt to watch more Naruto because there's so many episodes that like I watch that in doses. Like I will watch Naruto like, all right, let me watch like 20 episodes. Okay, I'm good. Let me take like a month off from watching that anime. That's actually how it's gone. I'm only like 50 episodes in, and it's been like 3 months since I started watching it. Not my fault. It's just a lot. It's a lot of episodes. Okay, it's a lot of episodes. But yeah, no, anime like that always I find amusing, entertaining, and kind of like, I don't know how to word it. I'm gonna say casual viewing, where it's like I don't have to worry about like that doom and gloom or sense of urgency for the main character. It's like, no, this is entertaining. It's, it's pleasant. And you don't have to, get too in depth with it. And that's the kind of anime I've been watching. Before I end the podcast, I am so far behind on a lot of stuff right now. Not like work related, but like from Gunpla. Like I'm looking at, because I have another work setup station for like Gunplas and organizing a lot of that stuff, and possibly to put a set up a 3D printer. And I am so far behind on Gunpla and nanoblocks. I still have about like 13 nanoblock sets to build. I have about 6 or 7 SDW Hero Gundams to make. I have a couple figurized standard amplified Digimon ones to make still, like Dukemon and a few others. I have some regular Gundam kits to make also. I still have that huge Penelope from Hathaway, the clear color one that I want to make. That one I want to stream because it's such a big kit. I really want to stream it because I think building something like that is very special, and I want to really document, because that's going to be the biggest Gunpla kit. Oh, hit the mic. Biggest Gunpla kit I've ever made. And it's also going to be probably one of the more difficult I've ever made, because I've always made 1/144th scale, master grades, nothing too drastic, nothing too crazy. But this one, I'm like, I want to take my time, I want to build it, but it's something special. So I definitely want to, some document it, either streaming or just recording it and turning it into a time-lapse video or this and that. I want to do something with that kit because that kit is just so nice. I want to show it off. But with that being said, there's not really much more to talk about. Just, it's almost summertime, just getting all my shit in order, now that I know that I have to get ready for the 3-year anniversary episode. I'm like, crap, I'm gonna have to start planning that. Oh, I bought more Digimon cards, by the way. I got the Angelmon starter kit, the Parallel Worlds Tactician set. I just noticed that right there. I was like, oh, I bought that yesterday. But yeah, so that's it for episode 115. Was it 115? Yeah, 115 of a Nerd Namer podcast. Like I said, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button down below. I got a lot of stuff I'm doing, a lot of other content. I mean, you've noticed I've been kind of branching out, kind of testing the waters, kind of breaking out of my norm and trying new things and to showcase more content of stuff I'm into. And I appreciate all the people who have been subscribed to the channel and liking the videos and sharing them out there. I appreciate it exponentially. For those of you listening on the audio version, thank you guys for listening. I see the analytics. Like I said, I enjoy, like I'm happy with the progress and where the show stands. Speaking of listening, if you can find a Nerd Name Mark podcast on all podcast listening platforms, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. Is it Google Podcasts? It is. Pod Republic, Podbean. Like, basically type in a Nerd Name Mark podcast into Google. Boom, it all pops up. You can go to anchor.fm/ANNM podcast. That is the centralized hub. It'll give you a breakdown of all the different places you can find the podcast to listen. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, leave me that review. I appreciate all the reviews. Daryl, I know you're listening. Daryl, this is directly to you. This is no longer a Loot Crate fan podcast or however, tribute podcast, however you listen to it. It's you know, that review shows up every time I go look, and I'm like, oh man, that review is still there. I was like, but it's funny. Daryl's great. Everyone at the Loot Bros are amazing. Go check them out. Anyways, but that's it for the episode. I have nothing else really to talk about or anything else to say. So with that, I bid you adieu, Avida. I thank you guys for listening. I thank you guys for watching, and that's it. We'll see you in the next podcast episode.